Hello and welcome to the social trading webinar. If you're watching the recorded version of this, it was held live on Tuesday the 6th of December at 7:30 in the evening. My name is David Jones and I do these in conjunction with Ayondo Markets. You can find out a bit more about social trading. I've written a bit on my website. I'm going to write more on this from the new year and sort of blog about a live account. But if you go to www.tradeafter.com, there's some details there, and also you can follow me on Twitter for sort of charts and stuff during the day, and that's at Jones the Markets. So while I'm talking away, I've just put the risk warning up there just for good order. So for those people who are here live and who are just joining now, if you have any questions, the chat box at your end of the webinar, fire them in and I'll try and answer them if I can. So this will run for about half an hour, and we'll take a look at some traders who've been trading well in recent months. And the whole idea behind social trading is pretty straightforward. You have an account with X amount of money in, and you're looking to follow one or more traders and have their trades carried out automatically on your account, and the idea is you make a profit. So rather than trying to be the star striker yourself and score the goals, you're almost like the team manager trying to put together a good team of traders. It's a really interesting concept, I think. I've worked in the trading business for more than 10 years, and I used to work, the two companies I used to work for, the two market leaders, didn't do social trading. So for me, I've never really had that much exposure to it, but I started working with Ayondo earlier this year, and of course put some real money in to trade after running on a demo for a few weeks. And I thought this is a really interesting add-on to your own trading, or if you fancy trading but don't have the time, it's an alternative way to gain access, and you could argue a smoother way of gaining access to the market. I still trade FX indices and shares, but I find the social trading another way of gaining market exposure and hopefully turning a regular profit. But enough chat. Let's get on with it. So let's take a look. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to flip over to the Ayondo website. So what we've got here, this is it's like a league table almost of traders. So how it works is, if someone, me, you, or anybody, has an account with Ayondo, who are a CFD/spread betting company, the same as all the other CFD and spread betting companies out there, regulated in London by the FCA. So if I had an account with Ayondo, I can choose to make my track record public. And then, so we're seeing here some of the people who have made their track record public, and then if they want to, other traders can follow me. So if I followed this OMP trading person, he's come up a few times, he or she has come up a few times. If I followed that one, every trade they did would be mimicked on my account for the appropriate size relevant to my account balance, and I'll explain that a bit more as we go on. And the way it works is they'll earn a very small commission if a trade is carried out on your account. That's the incentive for them. The incentive for them is to stay profitable, so they get more followers and they earn a bit more money. So the spread on follow trades is slightly wider, ever so slightly wider than a normal market spread if you're doing self-directed trading, to take into account the commission aspect for the person you're following. But to be honest, for me, it's pretty negligible. I'm interested in making a profit every quarter on the people I'm following, so I don't get too bogged down by an extra point here or there. But we'll go through this as we go through the webinar this evening. So just to scroll through, what I've done here, I've sorted these by time period since they started. So since each trader started, what's their track record be like? And I've filtered it out. I'll talk a bit more about filters in a second, but I filtered it here. You can see RMT. That means real money traders. So if people want to, they can trade on a demo account with Ayondo and make their demo track record available to be followed. But my opinion is, well, if I'm going to risk my real money following you, then I want you trading with real money. So I always filter it by real money trader. So what have we got here? 231 people making their track records public and making it possible for you to follow them. So the top trader, this one has come up a lot in recent months, and this is one I think I'm following. I've got a couple of accounts. I've got a demo account, well, not demo, it's a real account, but with 500 quid in 480 quid that I use for these, and another account with a bit more in that I use for my own sort of real following stuff. And OMP trading, I think I'm following this person in both of them. But let's just walk through the numbers. So at the top, I've sorted this by P&L, so percentage return, profit and loss over the period they've been trading for. So we have OMP trading is the person. The R next to their name, that means they're a real money trader. If I just flip off RMT for now, there we go. We can see this person, Vesna8, has made 320% return, which is pretty impressive. Maybe we'll have a look in a minute, see how that's been made. But there's no R next to their name, so it means trading on a demo account. So let's flip that back to RMT, because that's what I want. So real money trader. The little asterisk next to their name means they're a popular trader. So there's a lot of people following them. And you can see, there we go, over here, 2,387 people following OMP, which isn't surprising considering the track record they've got. Career level. Ayondo have various career levels that traders can go through and achieve. And it's in terms of number of trades, turning a regular profit, and more importantly, not giving back too much of that profit. So by looking at the flags here, you can see how experienced they are, and you can see the top three, OMP, Edel Metal, who comes up a lot, and Ectorius, have all progressed along the career path. That is a concern for me, that, to keep an eye on how well they're doing. I maybe don't want somebody who's just been trading a month, because their success could be a flash in the pan. But we'll talk a bit more about the filters. Then there's a risk score based on their volatility, and I think traditionally it's we can see there some of the risk scores coming in. A higher risk score down here, 10 from DAX Core. That was an old one I used to follow. And then the lower risk scores by 5, Techniton. So you can sort of filter and sort by how much volatility you're willing to take on. Then for me, now it's the important bits coming up. First of all, important bit number one, how much profit have they made? So this is an obvious one. I've sorted by P&L. So the best performing for the filter I've got, real money trading, since they started trading, has been OMP. So OMP's delivered a return of 150%. But just as importantly, arguably, again for me, even more so, is the next one, maximum drawdown. I think we all know, if you've ever traded, well, you could go sort of hell for leather and notch up a fantastic percentage return. But if you end up giving it back on the next trades, that's not really a profitable strategy. So this bit, maximum drawdown, is how much of their profits do they end up giving back. Yeah, and we all know, I think, if you're going to trade, you have to risk giving back some profit to make more profit, because you're exposing yourself to risk with every trade. But the idea is that hopefully you don't give back too much profit to try and make more profit. And this seems like a very sensible amount. So this person, OMP, has made 150%, but has only given back along the way 16% of profits, which is, I think that's a cracking sort of profit to drawdown ratio. Last trade was done 3 hours ago, so a fairly active trader. We'll have a look at a bit more detail in a minute. Number of trades per month. Again, it's not unusual to see fairly active traders. So what's that? 10 trades a day. If there's 20 trading days in a month, this person's doing slightly more than 10 trades a day. Number of followers, I'm not too bothered by that. I want people who are profitable, and if they're popular, well, that's great. But for me, it's me who's following them. I'm not really too bothered about other people, but it's not surprising because OMP has been the top of these lists. If you've attended these seminars before, it's been at the top of the lists for quite a few months now. And then the chart. My background, if you know me from before, is technical analysis. I'm a big fan in following trends, and there are clearly there are trends in your profit or loss. Again, if you've ever tracked your profit or loss, I'm sure you've seen, trends, pullbacks, all the usual stuff. So for me, this is important because for me, following traders is a way to gain exposure, but hopefully smooth out some of the bumps. So what I want to see is regular, profitable months or quarters. A nice smooth chart. I don't want somebody who's lost money for 6 months and then suddenly does a couple of crazy trades and makes a load of money and has a good P&L. So this, for me, this is the dream chart. Nice, steady profit loss. So for me, that's a really, OMP trading is an obvious one to follow. Well, of course, we have to say past performance is no guarantee to the future, but for me, these sort of stats, really do jump out. You can see similar sort of numbers, Edel Metal below. This is one that's gone a little bit off the boil, I think, in recent months, but still has 128% return, relatively small drawdown figure, all this sort of stuff. If I just flip over, I'll just flip back to the PowerPoint bit for a second, then we'll go back and we'll drill down. So just to recap, some of the possible filters you could use, or some of the ones I use, real money traders. If I'm going to risk my money, I want to see them trading with real money, because again, I'm sure if you've ever traded, you know that the psychology of trading with real money is very different to the psychology of trading on a demo account. A smooth historical P&L, that chart at the end, is really important for me, because again, hopefully it's someone who's going to deliver profits to me, if not month on month, then quarter on quarter. I don't want to see a profit and loss jumping around all over the place. I'm completely capable of doing that myself, thanks very much. So I want to try and smooth that out. This healthy P&L drawdown ratio, you don't want someone who's flipping a coin and making a bucket load on one trade, then giving it all back on the next trade. Low volatility, that risk score. In an ideal world, we're doing this to try and smooth out our risk. So for me, relatively low volatility is always good. And there's all sorts of other things you can search for, but a detailed search lets you refine all of these. Let's jump back and find out a bit more about some of these traders. Let's go back to, here we go. So if I change the period quickly, let's see over the last 3 months who's been doing well. There we go. The last 3 months, Technitom has done quite well. Relatively new trader, judging by their career, but has made 93% return over the last 3 months. Has given back 30% along the way. A little bit of an erratic chart, but you get a feel, for how they're doing. DAX Finance, real money trader, a bit further along the career path, has made again as a cracking return, 80% return over the last 3 months, and then given back about 22.5% along the way. And there's our previous top one down here, OMP Trading. So OMP Trading over the last 3 months, 49% return, and has given back 16%. So again, good, solid figures. So let's take a look at OMP in a bit more detail. So we'll click on OMP, and I'll send you the links through to the website after about an hour after the webinar tonight, so you can just click and sort of have a play around with this stuff yourself. So this is OMP's sort of page, as it were. So that's the name, that's the career path. Been trading on here since the 19th of May 2016. So it's got that 6.5 month track record. Performance in start 150%, and there you see graphically represented the P&L. So at the bottom, I think it's comparing it to the DAX, the German 30, but there you can see OMP's P&L. And for me, if that was a share price chart, I'd be looking to be a buyer, because the trend is clearly up. Obviously, it doesn't just go up in a straight line day in and out, but you can see, so far at least, the track record has delivered steady profits. Over the last 7 days, what's the last 7 days been like? Pretty flat, up 3% at one point, looks to be up, what, 0.25% now. Over the last month, pretty good. Up 9% over the last month. Over the last 3 months, up, that is cracking, up what, 51%, something like that. So you can get a feel for how profitable the trader has been, how well they've done, that sort of thing. Then down here you can get a read on the volatility, a relatively low volatility for this one. 65% winning trades, which is perfectly sensible breakdown of winners to losers. Maximum drawdown, how much they gave back, 16%. And then just to make sure they're not just a flash in a pan, I mean, there are a couple of good months here flattering the performance, but you can see May 12%, June 7%, July 11%, and so it goes on. So you can see exactly how they've built up that track record over time. And if you scroll down, we can see the markets they trade. Now, there's a few that they trade, but actually, if you break it down, 60% of trades are in the German 30, the DAX, and then 32% are on the Dow, the Wall Street Index. So more than 90% of trades are on those two indices. So clearly, this is somebody who just focuses on those two indices. Does a little bit of other things as well, but the bulk of the trades are here. So I think there's a lot to be said for focusing on one particular market or a couple of markets. And there you see any open positions they've got running, any positions they've closed, all the usual stuff. So you can scroll through and see exactly how they've done. And that's it. When it comes to examining a trader, looking at their track records, that's how it works. This is what I'm following already, so I won't click follow on there because I think I am already following OMP. But I'll show you another interesting one. One that popped up over the last week or so. Like I say, I never look at people who trade on demo accounts, but this one has really jumped out at me, and I'm for the purposes of tonight, I'm going to follow this person. So this is someone called PsyconNet, who doesn't come up on the previous search I did because they're not a real money trader, but they've progressed all the way along the career path. And look at the P&L chart. Even smoother, I think, than OMP trading. So volatility is really low, 3.8% volatility. And if we look over the last year, they have been trading since, it looks like, I think it's November last year, but over the last year have delivered a 92% return. Winning trades, I mean, it's believable because it's there, but it's an incredible number. 89% of trades are winners. It does make me think that maybe this is a person who hangs on to trades until they end up winning, which can be something of a dangerous strategy. But you can't argue with that track record over the past 12 months or so. And there are the numbers. So they've been trading actually since August last year. So you can see good, solid numbers. One losing month since August last year. That was in last November. November last month, 5.6%, 3.5%. A stonking August and September of 9 and 12. July even turned a profit, relatively low profit. But so that's an interesting one, and it's not one that I'd normally bother paying much attention to because they're not a real money trader. But for the purposes of tonight, we'll add them onto the account to be followed. And again, you can see much of the business, 73% trades done on the German DAX. So let's say we think, well, actually, we've got our account set up. We've got a bit of money in it. I think the minimum now to have a follow account with ayondo is £1,000. So we've got our account set up. I think the one I'm using, I set up a while ago, and it's got about 480 quid in. So let's say I say, okay, what I want to do, I want to start following this person. So I want to mimic this person's trades. Not surprisingly, it's just a question of clicking on follow, and that's it. It's done. So in the spirit of Blue Peter, I'd already set up some other people that I'm following already. There's OMP Trading, and there's PsyconNet. So there's Psycon in there already. OMP, Sergei Picagnol, Edelmetall, who again was very high up that list, and Hectorius. So these are 5 people I'm following. And what it shows me down here is an idealized view. You know, if I'd followed these people over the last year, my account would have made, what is it, about just over 100%, is it up there? Yeah, 103% if I'd followed them over the last year. So I could go back in time and mimic all their trades and double my account. Unfortunately, of course, the real world doesn't work that way. It looks like it's gone a little bit flat in recent months. So recent months, it'll still be up over the last 3 months or so, still up 10%. But that trend has tailed off a bit. But you can see it would have delivered a profit in an ideal world. Now, before we actually set it up to start following the trades, there are a couple of risk parameters you can do, which is really important because, you know, I've traded on spread betting and CFDs for, actually it is nearly 20 years now, since the mid-90s. And when I first started doing this, I must admit, it was a bit disconcerting in the beginning to suddenly push a button and then sit there and see all these trades going through on your account. Now, I don't even give it a second thought, and I log on maybe once every other day to see how things are going. But in the beginning, it is weird. So what you can do is there are a couple of risk things that you can set up. So first of all, if we click on, let's click on PsyconNet, the one we just added. Oh, actually, no, let's click on OMP. Click on Settings. So what we can do, you can decide at what ratio in terms of trade size you follow this person. So let me explain that a bit better. Let's pretend OMP Trading has got a £10,000 account, and OMP Trading does a trade on the DAX, the German index, where this person risks losing 1% of their account. So their stop loss, so 1% of £10,000 is £100, isn't it? I've done the maths right on that. Yes, I have, £100. So they do a trade where they're risking 100 quid of their 10 grand account. 1%. If you've got a £1,000 account, it'll do a trade that risks losing 1% of your account. In that example, £10. So I hope that makes sense. So if their stop loss is 1 to 2% away, you can set it up. If you have it set to 1 times, it means the trade will be done at an equivalent level for your account. If you're a little bit cautious, and it's perfectly sensible in the beginning, I did this in the beginning, think, well, actually, I want to get a feel for how this works. You can set it half. So if they're doing a trade that risks losing 2% of their account, the same trade will be done on your account, but only risk losing half of 2%, which is 1%. If you're feeling super confident, not that I would recommend this at all, you can trade 10 times the size they are. So if they do a trade where they're risking losing 1% on their account, the trade will be done on your account to risk losing 10%. And like I say, that's not an approach I would recommend. But for OMP, because OMP's got a solid track record, I'll follow them 1.5 times. Okay, we'll click on that, and that's done. Let me just check what the others are set to. So Actorius is 1 time, so I mirror his size. 1.5 times for Edel Metal. He has been a good performer. He's gone off the board a bit. Let's knock Edel down a bit. Sergei Piquignol, can't even remember this one. Okay, so half times on that one. And PsychonNet, because we've just started following them, let's start off a bit conservatively, maybe with PsychonNet, and we'll do them, should we do them half times or 1 time, something like that? So we can set it all up there. Let's do half times. We'll start off conservatively with Psychon and see how it goes. So now I've got my different risk parameters set up, and it adjusts the P&L based on if I've done trades at that size over the past year. So I'm ready to go. If I've got money in my account, I'm ready to go. But there's one more risk management, risk control bit before it all starts, all these trades start flying through my account. So if I click on execute on live account, here we go. So first of all, it says, right, well, these people, clearly that they're actively trading. They currently have open trades. So what it's asking you here, do you want to open up the same trades they've got? I'd never do this, because if OMP Trading bought the DAX yesterday and the DAX is 50 points higher than where OMP bought it, I'm getting in at today's price. I'm getting in 50 points higher. I've got no interest in doing that. So what I want to do is start following their new trades. Okay, so if OMP does a trade on the Wall Street index in the next half an hour, I want to be in that trade too. So click on execute portfolio. There we go. And we're ready to go. So hopefully you can see that on your screen. So I think it's just doing a trade already. So so this is my account view that I'm looking at now. Oh, I closed some trades out earlier because I've been following them from the last time around, the last time I did this webinar. But what I can also do, so I've got 470 quid in this account. What I can do now is another level of loss protection. Let's say you had, I don't know, £10,000 in your account, but you don't want to risk losing all the £10,000. You can put, in effect, what is a stop loss on your account. So I'm going to put a stop loss in this account. I click on that button there, and it's they call it trigger equity. It's basically if your account falls to a certain level, close all the trades and stop following new trades. Okay, so if I put in 300 quid, there we go, and click on save. So what this means is, regardless of all the trades that are being followed, if my account, this balance, falls to that, it'll stop following people and close out all positions. Okay, so it's like having a stop loss on your account. And that's it. That is social trading in a nutshell. So these are some of the trades I closed earlier because I just clicked on stop execution, because that's the other fail-safe. If you log on and think, actually, I need to rethink my whole strategy, what you do is click on stop execution, and it will close any open positions you've got and stop following any new trades. And it really is as straightforward as that. You know, it's relatively easy, I think, depending on your criteria, to find interesting people to follow. The risk side of it, again, is relatively easy to manage. You just dial in how much risk you want to take when you're following each person. You can set an ultimate stop loss on your account, and you just push and go. And you can you just view it from a web browser like this. So what I do when I have a look every day, I click on my account on there when I'm logged in, and all I care about is really this figure here in the open P&L, just to make sure everything's going okay. When I first did it, I think when you first open an account, you can run. Oh, there we go. Someone's just opened a trade. You see that flash through there? Actorius has just what's this person done? Sold the German 30. Wherever it is, 10.833. Put a stop loss 100 points away. So it's done it tiny size in my account to risk a relatively small amount of my balance, and there's the massive P&L so far. So I'm down a penny so far. So that's the trade going through in real time. And obviously, as these people you're following trade through the day, it sets it up and does a level of risk. I should also have mentioned, if you're following one person, then it will, and they do a trade where they're risking 1%, and you're following them one for one, then it will do the trade risking 1% on your account. But if, like me here, you're following 5 people, it already divides that risk by a fifth. So if you're following them one for one, but they're one of 5 people you follow, you're actually not risking 1% on the trade, you're risking 0.2% on the trade. So it chops that risk up even further. So it's a really, I don't want to oversell it. I mean, clearly I don't want to oversell it as a way to think, oh, well, this is free money, because we all know there's no free money in the world. But I think as a way to gain exposure through a team of traders, who have got good track records and setting a level of risk you're comfortable with, once I got over the initial weirdness of trades going through on an account with me doing nothing about it, it's a really interesting way of gaining exposure to these markets. And if I change my mind, I can just click stop execution and it's done. So when I first opened the account, I think it was back in March, I first got involved, and I had a demo account. I ran a demo account for a month, and I had a cracking month. I made 15% in a month, but with massive levels of volatility, because I was following a couple of odd traders, and I had the risk really dialed right up. And I thought, well, that's great to make that sort of return in a month, but the P&L was really swinging around. So now I've got a much more conservative approach to it. There's another trade just gone through. Edel Metal has bought the VIX, the US volatility future. So now I've got, I don't see 15% returns every month, but I do, but I have, it's a much more manageable level of risk, and I've been away the last couple of weeks dealing with some family stuff, and I've not bothered logging in for a week, because I know, well, my risk parameters are in there, the stop loss is in there on the other account, not on this account, and everything's okay. So I'd say if you do have an interest in markets, and you maybe want an alternative way, or just a way to gain some exposure, to maybe smooth out some of the bumps, it's as straightforward as that. I'd say give it a go. It hasn't stopped me from doing my own trading. I still sort of reasonably active on other stuff, but I do find this whole social trading a really interesting approach to markets. And like I say, you can have a demo and give it a go and try it from there. I'll send you a link now. Hold on a second. For those of you who are here live, if you go to this thing that's just come through now, which is bit.ly ayondo top, you can see those rankings. So you can see all those ranking screens and play around with them and see who's been doing well and see who's been doing badly. I do a whole load of other webinars with Ayondo. I do a weekly market outlook webinar, which is not social trading. That's all about like market outlook webinars that I've done in the past, looking at big levels, looking at trends in a whole load of markets. So if you go to this page there, I've just sent through, you can sign up for that. The next one, so that happens every Wednesday lunchtime at 12:30. And again, if you can't make it, there's always the recording to watch. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to start wrapping things up now. So I'm going to flip over. There's a few more trades. Edel Metal's buying the VIX for some reason. Okay, fair enough. So I'll just put my contact details up at the end. Here we go. So if you've got any questions, I've written a bit a few weeks ago now on social trading, a bit more detail at tradeafter.com, which directs to part of my website. So I'm going to write some more stuff in the new year. Let's get Christmas out of the way, and then just sort of get back into it in the new year. If you have any questions, drop me an email. It's david@tradeafter.com. And I'll try and answer emails pretty quickly. And on Twitter, for sort of general market stuff, charts, levels, I'm at Jones the Markets. But like I say, for those of you who are here live, I'll send you an email probably within the next couple of hours with some links to the recording of this and some other stuff as well. But there are no questions coming through, so that means everyone's really happy, which is excellent. So we'll finish on time. It's 8 o'clock. So we'll wrap things up there. I'll stop the recording, but like I say, any questions, drop me an email and have a look at some of those pages for the other webinars that I do. But for now, we'll close things off. Have a good evening, and any questions, do let me know.